Now, if there's another guy that I think really has solidified themselves going somewhere on day two, it's Bucky Irving from Oregon. 5'10", 195, had himself a fantastic season, was a big reason for their offensive success. And I still yell about the fact that had they had committed more to feeding him the football when they played Washington, that game might have gone a little bit differently both times. But, for whatever reason, they didn't want to give him the football. Regardless, Bucky Irving feels like the modern NFL running back for a different reason than Benson. It's almost a flip here. It's the opposite direction of Trey Benson, who's big body between the tackles, has the burst to extend plays. Bucky Irving's a guy that's going to kill you in space. This is also another guy who transferred, right? He came from Minnesota.
Yes, he did. Isn't that so funny that he was a Minnesota guy originally? That's
I know.
wild. Yeah. I was actually talking to an Oregon recruiting guy over here, and I was like, it is hard to believe. I think Bucky Irving's real name is Marquise Bucky Irving, I believe is his actual name. But I mean, could you imagine if he would just stayed at Minnesota? And he probably would have ran the ball more. But like, I think Oregon did a great job to really showcase his
usage
skill
would
set.
have been terrible. His usage would have been terrible.
Well, they would just ran him into the ground like every other Minnesota running back. Like Muhammad Ibrahim got hurt a million times in Minnesota because they were just like, Muhammad, we're going to run you ball 40 times when you play. Like, it's just stupid, right? And some of their bodies just weren't built for that, obviously. But I really love Bucky Irving for today's NFL. I think he's a perfect fit because the two things that I love most for a modern running back in a committee approach, because Bucky Irving is never going to be an RB1 in the traditional sense, in my opinion. He's never going to be a 250 plus carry a year guy. Like, that's just not him, in my opinion. But what he is today's game that accentuates space and creating and manipulating it. This kid is built for that game. He is at 5'10", about 195 pounds. He has really good contact balance, surprising contact balance for his size. He's ultra quick in tight spaces, and he catches the football really, really well. He's going to be good in the screen game. He's going to run some option routes, some angle routes. This kid is a weapon in the pass game. Here's the comp. Ready? He reminds me a whole lot of Duke Johnson that came out of Miami a few years ago. And that. Duke Johnson was a really good secondary option, could catch the football, was explosive in tight spaces. Was Duke Johnson ever an RB1? No. And you didn't need him to be. It would be a perfect situation, Joe, if you had Trey Benson and Bucky Irving on the same team.
That's a really good point. That's a really good point.
A great tandem, man. Well, it would be fantastic.
That's like the Seahawks. This would be a more explosive version of the Seahawks with Kenneth Walker and Zach Charbonnet. Makes me think of that.
Yeah, I could see that a little bit. Because I remember, I guess it was a couple years ago, right? Because Duke Johnson was on the Browns. I think at one point they had Nick Chubb and they had Duke Johnson. And it's like, it's perfect. They're rotation. So different. They work off of each other really well. It's the thunder and lightning type of thing, right? It's, you know what it is, honestly? New England Patriots a few years ago. Do you remember when they went their last couple Super Bowls? Their leading rusher, at least their last Super Bowl, was LeGarrette Blount, who was just a big, physical, downhill dude. But you know who was another guy that was incredibly essential to that running back room? It was James White. Literally, James White in their last Super Bowl against the Eagles, he had 12 receptions in that football game. Like, that guy is so important to a team. And I think that Bucky Irving is also going to be really, really important to a football team on the next level.
For all those reasons, I mean, you hit the nail on the head here. Right? He is a guy who, as I just said a second ago, fits what the NFL needs now in the running back position, which is you're looking for multiple options for different situations. This is no longer the era of, and this is very cliche to say now, it's no longer the era of ground and pound. We're going to run a guy 35 times, and that's the focal point of the offense. You need a space killer in your running back room. You need to build a running back room similar to the way that we have this philosophy of building a receiver room like a basketball team. You want to approach that the same way, where you've got a couple different options. And seemingly the best teams this year outside of the 49ers have a lot of options and rely on those options and are creative with those options. And I think that Bucky Irving, for everything we just talked about, they're good receiver, just amazing in space. Like he is a space killer. He's very bursty. He's very flexible, very good balance. The only maybe little bit of a issue that I have with him is that just not a huge frame that I feel like can withstand a ton of hits, which is
Well,
again
that's why he's
not an
that's why
issue.
he's
Right.
yeah. Sorry.
Well, that was again. That's why we're not sitting here saying that this is a first round pick or a top 50 pick. This is a top 100 pick because he's lighter. His contact balance not great because you're not going to expect a smaller guy like this to blow through tackles. But for what his skill set provides, I see him as a top 100 guy and a guy that's going to go somewhere on day 2.
Yeah, I agree with you. I had a mid third round grade on Bucky Irving, top 75 grade. I really like Bucky Irving a lot. I think as an auxiliary back, secondary option in the backfield, I think he's going to be tremendous. I really do. And the great thing is, you don't even have to really call him a running back 2 on the next level. Like there's some realities where I can use him and another running back on the field at the same times because there's 2 back sets. There's motion Bucky Irving into the slot at times and let him be able to be a passing game weapon. Brings a lot of skill set to the field that you really love. I mean, and I was just going to comment, Joe. It's like I agree with you 100% in the sense that his frame limits him from being an early down ball carrier, right? A guy that is going to tote the rock in obvious running situations a lot. I see him being 100 carries, 50 receptions in a season on the next level, 150 touches, not 150 carries, 100 rushes, 4.6 yards a carry, whatever, 50 receptions for 9 yards of reception, and to be that weapon when you need him in the passing game and in the run game. So he's a secondary option to a running back room, but he's a really good one. I think that he's going to be a very just pivotal part of a team on the next level is how I would kind of phrase it.
Yeah, big fan of Bucky Irving and what he's going to provide. Any final thoughts on him? That's kind of closing out what I had on him.
Oh man, Minnesota great Bucky Irving. Nah, man, I'm excited for him. I'm excited. So he's also a player that I think is going to. I think he's going to make out this year as far as his draft slot, since there have been a couple running backs that have gone back to school, like a little bit ones where you're just kind of like, that's odd, right? So I think it's actually he's going to be a beneficiary of it being a little bit of a light running back room. So I wouldn't be shocked if he goes even in the late second round. Like I wouldn't be shocked about that at all, potentially.
Yeah. I mean, before we close this out, amongst the guys, I'm just kind of going off of the PFF big board. Jonathan Brooks declared injuries. Blake Corum, injuries. Not really the same physical guy. Yeah, we don't know if Donovan Edwards is going to declare. Audric Estime is in the mix.
Yes.
Marshawn Lloyd, holy shit, is stiff as a board.
Yes,
Travion Henderson is Travion Henderson is probably so. Wait, he declared, right?
Who's that? Who'd you say?
Travion Henderson? Did he declare?
It hasn't been announced yet. There's been some reports that he might go back, but there has not been anything finalized on that end, I don't think.
Will Shipley, Braylon Allen, stiff as a board. Dude, you know that the class is thin when Dylan Laub from UNH is within like the top 10 guys in the class that are listed here on PFF. And then Frank Gore Jr. is just kind of, floating around in here somewhere. This is a weird running back class. By the way, I don't really totally understand if you're going to go with an FCS back, and let's close out on this, I still don't get why Isaiah Davis is not the primary FCS back. I've been banging the table for him for a minute now, and I really like Isaiah Davis, and I think that he's going to be a great NFL back. The problem is he's got so many freaking carries under his belt, but like him over Laub, I don't get it.
Well, the Laub thing is because he catches the ball well, right? Like you're projecting him to be that guy.
I don't agree with McCaffrey,
it,
Ryan.
Oh my God. Every way running back. You remember Max Borghi? Out of Washington State? That's Dylan Laub's actual comp was Max Borghi. I see him.
That's a good one. Wait. Who is that? God, he had a really good name. It was like something Speed or something like that. What was that one white kid's name? It came from Maryland or something.
Maryland? What are you talking about?
Wait, he went to the wait. Maryland white.
Some guy named Speed?
No, I'm thinking Jake Funk. He had like it was like
Funk.
I don't know.
He was
on
the Rams for a couple years, man. He was a special teamer. Yeah, Jake Funk. We want the funk. Gotta have that funk.
All right, we're ending on that.
Do you remember Travis Jervey? Are you old enough to remember Travis Jervey?
No, I don't remember him.
Oh man, he was like early 2000s white running back, and I think he was the lowest rated running back in Madden that year. Like he was, yeah. Travis Jervey, man, Atlanta Falcon. My God.
That's brutal. I
have to look up his stats now. I think they were really bad.
Let's get out of here. At Joe DeLeone at Sanderson Radio. Or,
What?
oh my God, at Rise to Draft.
What?
Holy shit, I do this. Hey, man, it's a Friday.
Relax.
Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Appreciate you all. Make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any of our draft coverage that's going to be coming up. We've got a lot coming your way. Been a huge pickup in the amount of people tuning in, as always. This always happens right around January. Everyone suddenly starts listening and watching the show as soon as January hits. So we're excited for another big draft cycle for us. Later, folks. Enjoy the rest of your week. BetOnline remains your top spot for all of your live betting action and contests. NFL, college football, UFC, NHL are all in full swing. BetOnline is your number one source for wagering news, odds, trends, and predictions with both desktop and mobile access at any time. Head to BetOnline today and use promo code BELIEVE, that's BLEAV, for 50% off your first deposit. That is a 50% welcome bonus. BetOnline, where the game starts.